This is John Bailey, the epic voice of Honest Trailers, and you're listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. It's a Fangirls podcast with five-ish people. The tangents and squee will continue. Squee.
The tangents and squee continue all the way to episode 484 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. And let's get out, stretch. I've been sitting here scraping off the rust on the proverbial hat of dames because it has not seen the light of day since last September. You hear the squeaking? Didn't know paper could do that, could you? Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like we do with the virtual table and see who joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bengal.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, survived the first, hopefully only Snowmageddon of 2025. So, I would just like to collect all of this snow and teleport it out to the West Coast. But unfortunately, that is not possible. So, oh my. Well, speaking of which, unfortunately, which, first and foremost, obviously, our hearts and all that go out to everybody out in California who has been affected by the wildfires. Just seeing the images, the video, and the posts of people's homes that are just gone. People that had to just grab what they could with moments to spare because this thing has just been so fast moving and so far spreading. I can't even imagine losing my home to something like that, because just fire in general is very, very destructive. And unfortunately, if it's a blessing and a curse, if you're fortunate enough to have a fire crew come with water and put it out, that's great, because then it's put out, and it in theory you can go back to your home and see what exactly was lost. But unfortunately, sometimes the water can almost do more damage or additional damage on top of the fire. Because sometimes getting your stuff, even if it didn't burn, if it got wet, sometimes just getting stuff wet is not something that some objects can come back from. Obviously this is pales in comparison, but several years ago, like a decade or so ago at least, we had a pipe burst in our apartment.
Ooh,
and
nice.
Where it burst, it got into it, because it was a pipe that runs above through the ceiling. It ran down the walls, and we ended up with black mold in a couple of places. So we had to have that, come and taken care of, and all of our carpeting had to be ripped up. But it got into a television.
Yikes.
But it was an old television that somehow still kind of worked, even after getting waterlogged, but we weren't going to risk it, so we got rid of the TV. No. But it also got into a whole bunch of memorabilia and stuff that we had stored, so I lost my only copy of Chauncey and I's wedding invitation.
Oh no.
So, and stuff like that just got, just absolutely waterlogged. And, stuff stuck together and ink would ran and all sorts of things. So, yeah, I mean, it's a nasty thing, and the whole, just all of it just sucks. Any sort of damage to your home and your belongings, whether it's fire or water or a hurricane or tornado. I live in the Midwest, so wildfires are not a thing. Tornadoes, on the other hand, while right now we're dealing with snow and extreme cold, it won't be very long before we have to start keeping our eyes out for tornado weather. So, yeah, it's just absolutely terrible what's happening to the people out in California. And, if you can, I know it's the start of a new year, coming out of the holidays for a lot of people. You start looking at the credit card bill and you're like, what the hell did we do over the holiday break? But obviously, if you can, look into donating, especially if you're far away. Places like the Red Cross and things like that can always use your financial help. If you're local-ish, somewhere in the Los Angeles area or the surrounding communities, obviously, look online and see what, organizations, what they're asking for. You may not have money, but this is also a time of year where people are starting to do things like clean out closets. You may have got a lot of new stuff at the holidays and you're like, oh, well, I got this new thing so I can get rid of like these clothes that I got new stuff to replace, and, see if there's, if you've got clothes that you were going to get rid of, and stuff like that, and see if there are places, I'm sure shelters and places like that could use those types of goods. So if you don't have the money, you may have, stuff in your closet that's never going to see the light of day otherwise, that you might be able to donate instead. So that being said, obviously this is a first world problem comparatively, but we were talking about awards season last episode, and because of the wildfires, the Academy Award Oscar nominations have been postponed. So they were scheduled. So yeah, they've been the nominees luncheon has been canceled, so they're not going to take the the class of 2020, because they always take a big group photo of all the nominees. But we will be getting the nominations broadcast later. So, and even then, I again write things in pencil. So so the voting period's been extended to the 17th. Right now the nomination ceremony has been rescheduled to January 23rd. The scientific and technical awards have been indefinitely postponed, because those were due to take place on my birthday, actually, February 18th. The nominee luncheon, which was slated for February, has been canceled outright. And yeah, so but yeah, there's been several things canceled and postponed. The the LA Film Critics Association banquet has been postponed. The Writers Guild nominations have been rescheduled. The Critics' Choice Awards have been rescheduled. Which those were supposed to be. So those have been pushed. The SAG nominations broadcast has been canceled. So awards. So for some of those, like as far as nominees, I would just expect if there's something that you're like, oh, I was really looking, I'm really looking forward to find out the nominations for this thing. Follow that organization on social media. My guess is they're probably just going to post. It's just going to be a post with a list, and there you go. So there's that.
Yeah.
Again, first world problems. So there is.
And don't be too surprised if some of your TV shows or online stuff or podcasts that you watch, if they postpone, because a lot of them live in that area, a lot of them got displaced, and some of them don't have access to their main computer or heck, even their business. They might not even know if their business is still standing, depending on where it is. So just give them grace, be patient, help out wherever you can.
Yeah. Shifting gears a little bit. It's crazy to think that we need to be thinking about convention season.
Yeah.
But it is coming. So it's, you're like, Gen Con, why are you talking about Gen Con now? It's not till first week of August. Yes. However, you know that preparing for Gen Con is like a 6 to 8 month ordeal, depending on how involved you are. So, badge sales are going to go, begin next month. So that it's, both for 4-day and single-day badges. Get yours early, because odds are they are going to sell out. They have been selling out the past few years. So especially the multi-day badges. Though, and a lot of the single day are been selling out as well. So if you think you're gonna go, you might just want to buy the badge, and make sure you check the refund policy, because I'm not entirely sure what it is. But even if you can't necessarily get if it's money that you won't mind not getting back if you can't get a full refund, but you can push your badge to next year to guarantee you can have a badge for next year. That might not be a bad idea. But again, I would go check the website, which it just got a facelift, actually. The Gen Con website just got a facelift. But yeah, I would go in and check the refund postponement policy for the different, because I think it depends on what type of badge you have in the first place. But just know that badge sales are going to begin next month. So housing registration, it will be coming sometime between now and the end of the month, supposedly. And so will information about event registration. So so if you're interested in running a event, so this is event registration, not for registering for events, but if you want to submit a event for people to register for later. That makes sense. So again, go to the website for information on how to submit events if you want to host, and that sort of thing. So there is that, and that's all we really have for news. So moving on to feedback. Got some feedback from Shalane. So first of all, Shalane, let me thank Shalane for being the first person's message that I noticed that there was an issue with the audio with last week's episode, because I did not know. And then Aaron, then we ended up getting a message from Aaron on a different platform. So thank you to both Shalane and Aaron for letting me know that there was an issue with the audio.
Because by the time I got free to message you,
Yeah.
You had already made the post. I'm like, okay, somebody else, because I had gotten busy. Because normally, as soon as it drops, I take a listen just to make sure things sound good. And I got sidetracked.
Yeah. Well, and been doing this for 10 plus years, and occasionally there's been
gremlins.
a hiccup. Yeah, there's gremlins. It happens every now and then, but in this case, this was a new gremlin.
Uh-oh.
So I went back and checked in the edit. There was nothing weird there.
Okay.
Checked the final rendered audio before it gets uploaded, and it was fine there for the most part. I had like a little blip, like a little small section where the audio disappeared, but then it picked right back up and was fine for the rest of the episode. So I played with the different settings. I tried rendering it out different ways. I ended up uploading, removing the original upload and uploading another. And thankfully, Libsyn, this is why we love Libsyn, before hitting publish, I'm able to listen to it.
Uh-huh.
And it was wrong.
Oh,
So there is something happening in the upload, best I can tell.
So is it like picking the wrong file, or is it just automatically?
No,
I'm going to delete sound.
I don't know. I don't know, because like I had files that were working fine on my computer. I had other files that were partially working fine. I had other files that were doing exactly what they had been doing when Shalane pointed out, where it was just playing our bumper and then quiet after that for the rest of the episode.
Yep, and then no outro.
Yeah, it was just like silence for an hour. I'm like, okay.
Yes. Watch us mind this.
So like I played with it, and I played with it and did all sorts of stuff on my end, and then tried uploading different versions on Libsyn, and then finally one of them worked.
Really?
But like I still, for the life of me, cannot figure out what exactly the issue was. So
please be patient with our uploads, because we don't know.
Yeah, but now I'm going to be paranoid from here on out. That I'm going to have to be checking these episodes like multiple times, like all through the editing and upload process, which, is fine, but, that's more work that I shouldn't have to do, because I've been doing this for a long time, and I can edit almost with my eyes closed and one hand behind my back.
Right. And
for as long as I've been doing this. Yes, exactly. So and the version that ended up working, that is working for people now, because Shalane was like, oh yeah, when she re-downloaded it and got the new file, and she's like, yeah, it's working, and I'm like, okay, well, that's great, but I still have no idea why that one worked. Whatever. Let's just cross our fingers and cross our toes that doesn't happen again. Yes, because I still have no idea what the issue was, so I don't know how to fix it. That was just dumb luck that it decided to fix itself or something. I don't know. But anyway, again, thank you, Shalane and Aaron, for letting me know.
Yes, I'm thinking Paching did not like the fact that. Yeah,
I guess I don't know. I do not know.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
Anyway.
The Doctor Who episode, I had to make a Doctor Who reference.
Yeah.
and that little guy would be the one to cause said problems, because he likes the electrical stuff.
Probably. So anyway, back to Shalane's feedback that she was finally able to send when she could actually listen to the episode. One thing I loved about the Golden Globes was Wicked winning an award, best box office. However, I was a bit shocked by the winner for Best Animated Feature. It was the first international animated film to win a Golden Globe. I did not know that. Let's see if it gets nominated for the Oscars and how Wicked performs at the Oscars, too. We're going to have to wait. Have you girls ever thought about doing an episode on the Three Amigos? Have we thought about it? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think
it's on our to-do list somewhere.
Yeah, it's on the list. It is on the list. Believe me, because I love that movie. It is so terrible, but I love it. Here's a list of anniversary films you might want to talk about this year. From 1995, Casper. From the 1990, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and The Rescuers Down Under. You could pair it with The Rescuers if you haven't already, which we've not. The Rescuers gave me nightmares. So.
Yeah. I think I know which scenes or character you're referring to for the nightmares. Yeah.
Let's just say I'm going spelunking anytime soon. DuckTales the movie, The Treasure of the Lost Lamp. From 1985, The Goonies, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and Return to Oz. This was already covered in the Wizard of Oz episode, so that might be enough. Yes, that is enough. We are not doing Return to Oz. Again, you want to talk about nightmare fuel?
We're not just talking the stuffed head moose either.
Yeah. From 1955, Lady and the Tramp. And The Mickey Mouse Club. Heck yeah. From 1950, Cinderella. From 1970, The Aristocats. From 2000, The Road to El Dorado and Chicken Run. Road to El Dorado is probably higher up on the list than some others. So,
yes.
If for anything else, kicking soundtrack.
Yes, Elton John.
It's Elton John.
All the way, baby. And I can also posit that you could say that Road to El Dorado has a bit of a D&D adventure theme going for it too.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't even know, and I don't think it's possible to count how many times I have used the both gif.
Yes. Oh yes.
Because that comes in handy a lot.
Both is good. Yes,
both is good. Yep.
Both is good. Yes.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
2005, Sky High, starring Kurt Russell and Linda Carter. Herbie Fully Loaded, or included in an episode about all the Herbie movies. Yeah, we need to give Herbie his due. Talk about when my brother and I were little, and every time we saw Volkswagen Bug, we called it a Herbie car.
Yep, I did too. Yep, same thing. Yep,
way before slug bugs, folks.
And I always felt so bad in the one movie where Herbie gets stuck in the mud and gets sick. And it was like, oh, poor guy.
And then for 2010, Tangled! I'm looking forward to another musical-themed episode this year. I'm sure you're going to get at least a couple. Some of the anniversary films listed, Tangled, The Road to El Dorado, might also qualify as musicals. Yes, they do.
Yep.
Thank you, Shalane.
Yes.
For your feedback. Here, I'll close my curtains because I can feel the cold trying to seep through.
Ooh, that's not,
the window is closed, but it's just that cold. And those are newer-ish windows. Alrighty, folks. Get those Wikipedias and
get your best guesses
open and ready to go. Of course, with Brittany and Holly, they also have the master sheet of all the names that they can also reference.
Oh, that's true. We do. I don't think I've ever used it.
The thing is I never look through the master list. I just try to go off the top of my head.
Yeah. So.
Thanks, Rach, for the tip.
Right?
I mean, at the very least, it tells you who it isn't.
That's true too.
I mean, it's still a very long list.
But we got we got stuff eliminated. It's like, oh yeah,
the ones we've done, we have
you put a strike through.
Yeah,
or whatever,
the ones we've done, we have checked off. So I get stuck together like always.
Awesome.
No. Okay. Free. Only one at a time. I know some of y'all have been in there for a while and you're getting desperate, but
let's not all jump out at once.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Got our first celebrity. So this American celebrity is an actress and a singer.
Okay.
She sings and acts and dances. Triple threat.
Mm-hmm.
She is a little younger than me. Her birthday is March 28th, 1986. She does not go by her legal name. We know her by a different moniker, which is not uncommon in the entertainment industry. I mean, even David Tennant, technically, Tennant is not his last name. So, but part of me is like, oh, her career isn't that long. And then I'm like, no, wait, 2008 was kind of a while ago.
I think I got it. Is it Lady Gaga?
Yes!
That was going to be my guess, because I'm just thinking, okay, yeah. Like, this is starting to track.
Yes. Legally born as Stephanie Joanne Angelina Germanotta. Somewhere Nick is going, ugh. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm usually better with the Italian-ish stuff.
Or you're close, just a little more on that accent there and that there, and you're
good. Except I'm like, I can't. My Italian is terrible. So it'll either end up sounding German or French. So, yes, Lady Gaga. Yeah. Like, it was her first album really 2008, and I'm like, yes, it was.
It doesn't seem that long ago.
Yeah.
In 2008, I was like, oh, that's not that. Oh wait, yeah,
it is that long ago. Yeah.
I'm like, that is 17 years ago.
Yeah. Like 2018.
At least as far as her, well-known career is concerned. Obviously, if you know anything about her, she comes from New York, Manhattan, born to a Catholic family. Both of her parents have Italian ancestry, hence the name. Her mom is Cynthia Louise, and her dad is Joseph. And she has a younger sister named Natalie. So grew up on the Upper West Side. She attended a private all-girls Roman Catholic school, the Convent of the Sacred Heart. Which all that immediately makes me think of is Chicago. They both reach for the gun. Gaga has described her high school self as very dedicated, very studious, very disciplined, and also a bit insecure and a misfit. She was very much a nerd. So she started playing piano at the age of 4 and took piano lessons throughout her childhood. She learned to create music by ear. as opposed to reading sheet music. She went to creative arts camp, and she started doing open mic nights as a teenager. She did high school performances, including Guys and Dolls. A funny thing happened on the way to the forum. She studied method acting, and she got and she started kind of an acting career. Her screen debut was a background appearance in a AC/DC music video.
Mm-hmm.
The music video for Stiff Upper Lip in 2000. And then she got a background role in an episode of The Sopranos in 2001.
Cool.
Yep. But she kept going back to music. It's like, piano is my thing. I know piano. I'm really good at piano. And she's like, I'm gonna pursue that. So she got early admission to the Collaborative Arts Project, which is part of the music school at NYU, School of the Arts, and she moved into a dorm at NYU, and she did she wrote a thesis on pop art. So, although she ended up withdrawing during her second semester to focus on her music career. So, she did a couple recordings for hip-hop artists to cope with the children's novel, I guess. She formed her first band with some friends from NYU. They did a bunch of gigs and became regulars at clubs on the Lower East Side. And she got discovered. Wendy Starland, who was a talent scout, I guess saw her at the Songwriters Hall of Fame New Songwriters Showcase, and Wendy recommended her to producer Rob Fusari, and they worked together, and he claims that he was the first person to call her Lady Gaga, and because he which is derived from Queen song Radio Gaga, one of my favorites. But supposedly it's because of an autocorrect on his phone where he tried to call her Radio Gaga and the word radio autocorrected to the word lady. So they created a company. They recorded and produced a bunch of electro pop, sending them out to music executives. And actually, she was signed to Def Jam Records in 2006, but then she got dropped. So when she returned home to her family home for Christmas, she started doing burlesque, just as another form of performing. And she met a performance artist by the name of Lady Starlight, who helped her mold her onstage persona. So then she continued to perform at downtown club venues, and they created a live performance piece known as Lady Gaga and the Starlight Review, billed as the ultimate pop burlesque rock show, as a tribute to 1970s variety acts. She even performed at Lollapalooza in 2007. So she's evolved from avant-garde electronic dance music to more glam rock, very much Queen, David Bowie. And eventually she got signed to Streamline Records, which is an imprint of Interscope. And thanks to Vincent Herbert, who's a producer and a record executive there. And she got a publishing deal with Sony. And first she was hired to write songs. And Akon, who is a singer, rapper, songwriter, actually heard her sing when she did some recording for Scratch for a track for his, and they formed a joint deal to have her sign to a label, Con Live, which was owned by Jimmy Ovine, who is chairman CEO of Interscope Geffen, which is a brother company for Def Jam. So, like, she keeps circling the drain with Def Jam. Oh. And she recorded her debut album, and even with the record deal, though, she struggled to have radio stations play her music. Either because they considered it too racy, too dance-oriented, too underground, just not enough mainstream, which we're talking 2007, 2008 here. So, like, the pop music of the generation beforehand, which is what, like, I would have been the target market for in the late 90s, early 2000s, your Britney Spears, your Christina Aguilera's. I mean, they were out the door. They weren't as big as they were by 2007, 2008. So it was kind of primed to have a new mega star come along. I mean, she was quoted saying, "My name is Lady Gaga. I've been on the music scene for years, and I'm telling you, this is what's next." So, she finished her debut album, which was The Fame, set up her own creative team, the House of Gaga, and The Fame was released August 2008 and reached #1 in Austria, Canada, Germany, Ireland, Switzerland, and the UK, as well as top 5 in Australia and the US. And the first 2 singles, Just Dance and Poker Face, reached #1 in the US, Australia, Canada, and the UK. And Poker Face was the world's best-selling single of 2009. So, I think she was onto something. I think she knew. That she would win some Grammys. So, The Fame won Best Dance Electronica Album, and Poker Face won Best Dance Recording. So, she opened for the Pussycat Dolls in 2009, and then she headlined her own tour, the Fame Ball Tour. Wrote 8 more songs for The Fame Monster, which is a reissue of The Fame. Included new singles like Bad Romance, Telephone with Beyonce, Alejandro, and the video for Bad Romance became the most watched video on YouTube in April 2010. By that October, she became the first person with more than 1 billion combined views.
Wow.
At the 2010 MTV Video Music Awards, she won 8 awards from 13 nominations, including Video of the Year for Bad Romance. She was the most nominated artist for a single year and the first woman to receive 2 nominations for Video of the Year at the same ceremony. The Fae Monster won Grammy Award for Best Pop Vocal Album, and Bad Romance won Best Female Pop Vocal Performance and Best Short Form Music Video. In 2009, she spent, or I guess, you know, this is cumulative. Spent a cumulative 150 weeks on the UK singles chart. Most downloaded female act in a year in the US, and with 11.1 million downloads sold, earning an entry in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And then in 2011, when she put out the Fame album, she had some heavy talent do cameos for her. Edge of Glory, she had Clarence Clemens, the boss man, the sax player from Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. He played the saxophone riff. And that. And then the song You and I, that guitar riff is none other than Sir Brian May. He played on it. And I'll have to post in the chat later, but she actually performed that song at the MTV UK Music Awards. And Brian May actually came out and performed his little solo part.
Yep.
And I didn't know that till a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean,
I love the song You and I'm like, oh, that's got a Queen riff.
Yeah.
I should have trusted my gut and gone to Google to find out for sure if that was.
Yeah.
And so confirmed.
Yeah.
How did I not know this until
the thing is, it's like when she came onto the scene and immediately, you know, with these crazy outfits.
Yeah.
And, you know, even before the meat dress. I mean, anytime you saw her anywhere.
Godchildren, or isn't she godmother to Elton John's?
Yeah, thought, I
or at least one of them?
thought of Elton John back in his heyday.
Right.
With all the crazy outfits. I assumed she was British.
Yeah.
Because she screamed Elton John and Freddie Mercury and all that. Yeah. So I just assumed she was British and cut from the same cloth, and I found out she was American. I'm like, wait, what? But she's a New Yorker, which is pretty much the same thing.
Right.
So,
yeah.
As someone from New Jersey, Brittany, I'm sure you can attest to that.
Yep.
Just look over the water and be like, "Yep, there they are."
Exactly.
I mean, she grew up on the Upper East Side, but she played in the Lower East Side, and that creates a certain type of person.
I mean, and you know, she probably got exposed to all different types and kinds of music, and just latched on, and boom.
Yeah.
You know what you like, you stick with it, and then you try to go with it.
Yeah.
I still have yet to watch the Joker movie that she's in.
Folie à Deux?
Yeah, Folie à Deux. I haven't.
Really,
I'm just like, ugh. From the things I heard, it's just like, do I? Don't I? It's like some people love it, some people hate it.
Yeah.
Like, ooh.
Seen the first one.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah. Because I saw the first one, and the first one I wasn't all that gung ho about. It's like, do I want to do that? I mean, yes, I know she's in there. I like her, but help.
Yeah.
So I might have to. I think Nick's reviewed that on Happiness and Darkness. So I might have to give that a listen first, and then make my decision based off of that.
Yeah. Yeah. What's really wild is like she achieved all of that in just a couple of years. With only 2 albums.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then
technically it's 1.5 albums, because essentially she pulled a Taylor Swift before Taylor Swift.
Yep, with the remix.
With the reissue, with more tracks. So, yeah. Because then she released Born This Way in 2011. And again, all sorts of awards, all sorts of records. The title track Born This Way earned another Guinness World Record for the fastest selling single on iTunes with more than 1 million copies in 5 days. It debuted atop the Billboard Hot 100, becoming the 1,000th number one single in the history of the charts. And she got nominated for Album of the Year. Again, well, singles like Night, Marry the Night. She was going to go on the Born This Way Ball tour. It had to end a month sooner than scheduled because she tore she had a tear in her right hip that required surgery. It's a Ouch. Labral tear, so it's not a tendon, it's big words, big medical words. So it's a fibrocartilaginous ring. It surrounds the circumference of part of the hip, and it is attached to a ligament. But yeah, she tore that. Which she has dealt with health issues on and off her entire life. She tested positive for borderline positive for lupus, which is not an easy disease to live with. It's an autoimmune disease where essentially your immune system attacks the healthy parts of the body. Selena Gomez has it as well. But between the lupus and that, she's dealt with pain, pretty consistent pain. If you've not seen it, I highly recommend. At this point it's a little old, but watch her documentary, 5'1", where you see her getting like massages and acupuncture and just trying, before going on stage while on tour, just trying to get her pain under control to be able to perform for her fans. Yeah, it's the fact that she has done what she has done with the health issues that she has are an accomplishment in itself.
Right.
She worked with him several times up until his passing. She worked alongside Tony Bennett several times. She worked with Elton John on one of the tracks for Romeo and Juliet.
Briefly going back to the Tony Bennett thing, she was so protective of him towards the end because of his state with the dementia. Because I watched the last performance that he did, and she was there, and it was just, the way she interacted with him and kind of realized he was having a little bit of an issue, but just respect and the care that she had for him was absolutely amazing. So if you have a chance to see the Lady Gaga Tony Bennett performance, it is worth the watch, because she can handle that era of music brilliantly.
Oh yeah, yes. She's a chameleon, really. Everything. She could slip on into just about anything. She's released fragrances and all sorts of. Actually, her first fragrance, Fame, which went kind of viral because it was black. Now, when you sprayed it on yourself, unless you like doused yourself with it, it dried clear. But that was one of the things that caught people's attention. It was like, oh, it's black. The bottle's gold, and then you have the clear glass and then this black liquid inside of it. I loved that fragrance. It was supposed to be unisex, so it could be worn by anybody. I loved that fragrance. I hate that it no longer is manufactured because I loved that. So then she has her third album, Art Pop, and she hosted SNL in 2013. She's done a number of television specials for both at Thanksgiving and Christmas. So she's done a Las Vegas residency, and she did the collaborative jazz album with Tony Bennett titled Cheek to Cheek, and they ended up performing, did a little bit of a tour together. So again, award-winning. There's a concert special that I'm sure if you look on the interwebs, you can find it. And she, so by mid 2010s, her priorities and the way people saw her began to shift a little. She's always reinventing herself, which, is totally like fine. Like, if you feel like you want to change, because we all grow as people and change, and she very much does it both on the inside and out. She performed at the 87th Academy Awards, where she sang a medley from The Sound of Music. I remember her doing that, and then seeing the social media posts, and they were like, "Oh my God, she can actually sing." I'm over here like, yeah, I could have told you that.
Bothered to listen to any of her music? Come on.
So I was like, yeah, she's been able to sing. Like, yeah, I mean, she does stuff that's got electronic and synth to it. But all you gotta do is watch a live performance of her. She's not lip syncing.
No,
like some of the other pop divas. She is singing.
Yes.
So, she got her first major acting gig when she starred in American Horror Story's 5th season, which is Hotel. Where she plays kind of she's a hotel owner, but it's very kind of, the character's kind of, oh crap, what's her name? At least loosely inspired by, what's her face? The Duchess or whatever that supposedly killed virgins and bathed in her blood.
Oh.
You don't know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've never watched it, but from what I understand, loosely inspired, at least somewhat, because her character is seemingly ageless. She got nominated for a Golden Globe for that.
Okay, I think it might have been Countess Elizabeth Bathory.
Yeah.
She sang the national anthem for Super Bowl 50, which was pretty awesome. That she's pretty good. She did a tribute to David Bowie at the 58th Annual Grammy Awards. I remember watching that, and I was just like, "Oh, this is so cool!" She has started to work a bit more in philanthropy as well. She did another stint in the next season of American Horror Story, the 6th season, where she played a witch. Her next album, Joanne, which was named after her late aunt, who was an inspiration for some of the music. She was the halftime show headliner for the Super Bowl in 2017. And one of my favorite Super Bowl halftime shows performances of all time. Really, really awesome. Great mix of the Flash and everything that she's known for. I mean, her standing up on the edge of the stadium, like literally the upper lip of the stadium.
It's just like
catching a football and then jumping.
I know.
off the edge and then descending down. And the costume changes, and oh my god, it was just so good. It was such a good halftime show. It earned her an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Special Class Program. So, CBS Sports included her performance as the second best in the history of the Super Bowl halftime shows. My guess is Prince's rainy halftime show performance was probably number one. That tends to be up there with a lot of people. So she headlined Coachella. And 5'2", that's what it's called, not 5'1". Sorry. Yeah, the documentary Gaga 5'2". It premiered on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. It's from 2017. But yeah, she was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which causes chronic widespread pain. So, which caused her to cancel more shows on the Joanne tour. Then of course, in 2008, she was in the latest remake of A Star Is Born, alongside Bradley Cooper. And she won a Critics' Choice Award for Best Actress, and then was nominated for an Academy Award, a Golden Globe Award, a SAG Award, and a BAFTA Award for Best Actress. And then obviously she won an Academy Award for Best Original Song for the song "Shallow," which appeared in the film. So, and the A Star Is Born soundtrack went to number one in the US. So they made her the first woman with 5 US number one albums in the 2010s, breaking her tie with Taylor Swift as the most for any female artist in the decade. So, although Taylor would go on to tie her again in 2019. So, considering that was 2019, they probably perpetually it's a tie because that decade is over. She did a residency in Las Vegas in 2019 at the MGM Park Theater. She's released her own vegan makeup line. So her 6th studio album, Chromatica, was released in 2020. keeps winning awards. She keeps winning stuff. I mean, she just keeps releasing stuff, and she keeps winning stuff. Not without occasional making news headlines for other things, like when her dog walker got shot and her French bulldogs got dog napped. Thankfully, both dogs were found. There was actually a third dog. That third dog escaped found her way back to her mommy. But then her dog walker ended up in the hospital because he got shot. The guy that ended up shooting him was sentenced to 21 years in prison. So, yay for justice. She did another collaborative album with Tony Bennett in 2021. They did another television special that was released in November 2021. They also did a performance that was released for MTV Unplugged. And she starred in House of Gucci alongside Adam Driver. Which they had mixed reviews. I thought she was pretty good, honestly. So I thought she was pretty good in that. So she did the Chromatica Ball Stadium tour, which there was a film version of that I do not remember where I watched it now. So again, catch the internet. She performed at the Summer Olympics last year in French. And her latest acting role is as Harley Quinn, alongside Joaquin Phoenix in essentially the sequel to the 2019 film Joker. In this case, Joker fallait aider. Which her performance has had pretty positive reception. So it's just the plot. It just fell short. And then she is working on a new studio album. She has released a single, but the new album has yet to be announced or released. Supposedly sometime early this year. She's supposed to headline Coachella again. She's also supposed to appear in the second season of Wednesday on Netflix. So, all that since 2008. Yeah. So, I mean, you gotta, whether you care for her music, you gotta give her props for just, not giving a crap. She does what she wants. She does what makes her happy. She does what feels right. Yes, she's, sometimes it seems like she does things just to shock people. I don't think she necessarily does it for the shock value. I mean, if people are shocked, I think maybe she expects that to be an issue with the people that are shocked and not her. If that makes sense. I mean, she is known as Mother Monster, and all of her fans are known as Little Monsters. She came into her more mainstream fame at the same time that social media was starting to become really big. So that definitely, I'm sure, helped. Because then when she wore things like dresses made from plastic bubbles, or appearing out of a giant alien egg, or a dress made out of raw meat, immediately people could go to things like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and be like, oh my god, what is she wearing? So when I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame several years ago, they had a dress of hers on display that was made, I want to say, out of paper. I'll have to pull up the picture because I know I've got it, but I want to say it was made out of paper, but I could be wrong. But it was really cool. It was really cool to see, and also to see just how short she really is. So, even with it slightly raised, in a display case, you could tell, like, the person who wears this, even with the shoes, because every time she wears shoes, they're always really tall as well. That like, this lady is really short. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But it was just kind of wild to be like, it's like 5'2". That's how tall my mother is. Like, my mom and Lady Gaga are the same height. It's like, and I know how short my mom is. So it's pretty wild. But you know what? It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
She, like I said, she just kind of does her thing. She's very very supportive of her fans, very open. She doesn't pull her punches, she doesn't bullshit. She gives it to everybody straight, but she, for those that try to bullshit, she's not gonna take it, and she's gonna let them know that she doesn't care for it. With her little monsters, when they come to her, with issues, they're, feeling like they're not being understood, or concerns, issues with family and friends, she's always compassionate to them. She's always very open and empathetic to those that feel different. I mean, that's why she has the song Born This Way. Granted, it touches on a lot of LGBTQI topics, but I mean, it's applicable to pretty much anybody who just doesn't feel like they fit in. And she still does that. Whether you're following her on social media, she's got the Born This Way Foundation, which helps to support, troubled youth and those marginalized groups. But she's also, donated to other causes. She donated to the Haiti Earthquake Fund. She wasn't able to join in the We Are the World 25 for Haiti because she was getting ready for tour, but she did donate the proceeds from her Radio City Music Hall concert to the relief fund, along with all the sales profits from her online store. She also raised money for the Japanese earthquake and tsunami relief efforts. She received a grant from Yoko Ono, actually. The Lennon Ono Grant for Peace, So she donated to victims of Hurricane Sandy. She's contributed to fight against HIV and AIDS. So she is, always working on on something. Not just her music, not just her acting career. So it's just pretty awesome that she's been able to take this crazy ride that she's been on and turn it into something good. Here, it's always interesting how a celebrity will end up in interesting places. There is a new genus of fern called the Gaga, and it's three species: the G. germinata, the G. monstra parva, and the Kai Kai Gaga. Which is actually a genus of tree hoppers. So obviously Monstra parva is a nod to the little monsters. She also has an extinct mammal, the Gagadon minimostrum, which is a extinct genus of even-toed ungulate, which ungulates bear weight equally on 2 of their 5 toes. Okay. And then the scientific names, the Aliodes gaga, which is a parasitic wasp. Oh my. I mean, easily we could go on and on with just like the awards and achievements and nominations. I mean, just almost everything she does is just like gets recognition somewhere. Somehow. So and like I said, especially with her physical, medical issues, she's a testament really to perseverance, I think, and doing what you love, regardless of what other people might think. I like her.
Me too.
I really like her. Be interesting to see what she does next.
Yep.
Who knows? No idea who she's playing on Wednesday. Guess we'll find out.
Yep.
Who knows? Well, that was quite a bit.
Yes.
One person. But we should probably draw another just to keep people on their toes.
Yes.
Yep.
It's not somebody with a super long CV. Decent enough CV. Granted, they are older, so that makes a difference. I'm pretty sure this is another New Yorker.
Okay, so that kind of eliminates which side of the pond we're dealing with.
At least not native New Yorker.
Gotcha.
He's actually Canadian. But he got his start in New York, so there's still a New York connection. No, quite a bit older at the moment. He is 72 years old. His birthday is July 1st. Born 1952. Sometimes. Let's see. We have covered One of his movies / franchises on here. We've also covered one of his films on Gold Standard because he was in a Academy Award winning film.
Okay.
I don't think it should have won Best Picture, but it did. But yeah, he's got some interesting things in his repertoire, his career, besides just acting. He's done some interesting things business-wise. He did get nominated for an Oscar for that role in that Best Picture film. That made him the fourth person from a particular group to be nominated for an Oscar.
I'm guessing, is it Dan Aykroyd?
Yes!
Oh,
nice. Good one, Brittany.
Look at Brittany, 2 for 2! Oh. Yes, Daniel Edward Aykroyd. Our hat up north, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
In Ottawa, Ontario, he was born. To his father, who has a very long name, Samuel Cuthbert Peter Hugh Aykroyd.
That is a long name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His father was a civil engineer and worked as a policy advisor to the Canadian Prime Minister at the time, the 15th Canadian Prime Minister. And his mother, Lorraine, was a secretary. His mother was French-Canadian descent. His father was of English, Scottish, Irish, French, and Dutch. After high school, he went to Carleton University, which is a public research university in Ottawa, Ontario, but dropped out before completing his degree. He was studying criminology and sociology. He started working as a comedian in various Canadian nightclubs and ran a after-hours speakeasy in Toronto. I tell you, the man has got quite the life story. He's also a big fan of blues music. So he developed a career as a blues musician by regularly attending performances at Le Hibou, which was a coffee house that featured blues artists. Le Hibou, which, according to Aykroyd, in French means the owl, which I guess owl? That's not the word I know for owl in French, but hey, maybe French, Canadian French, maybe it's different.
French, yeah.
So.
Maybe it's a little bit, yeah.
So, his first professional experience was at the age of 17, where he was a member of the cast of the short-lived Canadian sketch comedy series, The Hart and Lorne Terrific Hour. Which, obviously, short-lived, but it worked out well because, that was, that Lorne in the title, that'd be Lorne Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course, he was part of the Second City Comedy Troupe.
Yep.
Where a lot of, the Canadian SNL cast members came from.
Yep.
Although he actually was in Second City, both in Canada and in the US. He was in the Chicago troupe.
Yep. He was one to be dual citizenized for that one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But because he had worked alongside Lorne Michaels and was part of Second City, that got him an in when they decided to create this little show called SNL, Saturday Night Live. Yes. He was originally hired.
For prime-time players.
Yeah. He was originally hired as a writer, $278 a week.
Back then, it was a pretty decent chunk of change.
I mean, in 1975, I mean, now that's 2024 money, that's about $1,600 a week, which in New York, that would not get you very far.
No, true.
In 70s New York, it was probably enough. Yeah. But then he ended up becoming part of the cast before it even premiered. So he was actually the youngest member of the cast and appeared in its first 4 seasons. And at one point, he is described as bringing a sensibility to the show, which combined youth, unusual interests, talent as an impersonator, and a manic intensity. Eric Idle of Monty Python, when he hosted, said that Aykroyd's ability to write and act out characters made him the only member of the SNL cast capable of being a Python.
Okay,
that's pretty high praise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though, and he did do a number of impersonations, like Jimmy Carter, recently cast, Vincent Price, Richard Nixon, Rod Serling, and Julia Childs. He also had a number of recurring roles, including Beldar from the Coneheads. We come from France.
Consume mass quantities.
Yes. Alongside Steve Martin as one of the 2 wild and crazy guys.
Yes. Oh. And then the other pairing that's near and dear to my heart, him being Elwood Blues to John Belushi's Jake Blues.
Yeah, he worked alongside both as the Coneheads and also against Jane Curtin in
oh yes,
Point Counterpoint.
Oh yeah,
where Jane Curtin played the liberal and he played the conservative.
Oh man, sometimes did he let her have it.
Yeah. But the type of things that he would come up with on SNL, because it's the writers, it's a combination of the writers and the cast that help come up with these skits and segments. I'm gonna pull this off, find a link to it on YouTube. The sketch for the Super Bassomatic 76.
Oh jeez.
Which is a parody of Ron Pompey. It's a food blender that turns an entire fish, a bass, into liquid pulp.
Yeah, I remember that one. Ugh.
Yeah. He said it. He got inspiration for the sketch after seeing his Aunt Helen, who was a culinary writer and food columnist in Montreal, put a bass into a blender in order to make a bouillabaisse. Which is fish soup, so
right, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he got an Emmy for writing on SNL. Got nominated 2 more times for writing and 1 for acting. In Rolling Stone's February 2015 appraisal of all 141 cast members up to that point, he was ranked 5th behind Belushi, Eddie Murphy, Tina Fey, and Mike Myers. They wrote, of all the original SNL greats, Aykroyd is the least imitated because nobody else can do what he did. Occasionally he would pop up as for a guest appearance or an unannounced cameo, oftentimes playing Bob Dole. And then, of course, the Blues Brothers. He resurrected the Blues Brothers with John Goodman after Belushi had passed. He became the second member of the original cast to host when he hosted in 2003. He's performed alongside James Belushi, Yeah, and then of course the Blues Brothers, because he was very, very good friends with John. John was the manic to Dan's straight man. Really? So because of course Aykroyd is a huge fan of blues.
Mm-hmm.
So but Dan had to teach John a few things about blues.
Yep.
But yeah, they ended up actually becoming an actual act.
Yeah.
They did live gigs.
Yep, there's albums out.
Yeah, they released albums. And they also had their movie in 1980, The Blues Brothers, which is really funny, actually.
Yes. Oh yeah. That whole scene.
And yeah, I mean, it's very quotable too.
Yes.
Yeah, and you've got it's got some fun celebrity appearances as well. You got James Brown, you got Cab Calloway, you got Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles. You've got Carrie Fisher playing an angry ex-girlfriend who her attempts to get revenge just get more and more outrageous. If you ever want to see Carrie Fisher with like a rocket launcher, this is your movie.
So it's just, yes. After she paints her nails, mind you, while looking at the manual on how to operate said rocket launcher.
Yes. Yeah. But it is very funny. You know, a lot of SNL stuff they tried to make into films and did not work. This is one that did.
Yep. Yeah. This one was the lightning in the bottle, and then they tried with others, and it just didn't quite work.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if you ever see, if you ever go to a convention and you see a couple guys in black suits and sunglasses, sometimes with a nun, sometimes not, because they're trying to get money to save the orphanage that raised them as kids. Ask them if they're on a mission from God. If they say yes, you've got the right guys.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, check out their albums. Aykroyd can sing. Even check I think they're available on Spotify. And I think some of the ones that Dan Aykroyd did with John Goodman are also available to listen to.
Yep, because John took over for Blues Brothers 2000.
Yep. John Goodman can sing as well. So they are good. They are good.
Not to get political, but if you also want to see some Nazis get their ass handed to them,
this is your movie to watch.
This is also your movie. So, yeah, but it's they all over the place, but it's mostly in and around Chicago, and was actually they. If you know the Daily Center in Chicago, and want to see it be absolutely torn to bits. Not for real, but
But yeah.
But yeah.
Well, yeah. And then if you want to see another prison cell rock out,
yep,
this is your movie too.
Yep. Yeah, it's really good. The music is really great. It's really funny. The soundtrack is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Because I think that might have been one of Cab Calloway's last performances, if memory serves.
Yeah. Really great performance by Aretha singing Pink.
Yes.
In the diner.
Yeah. She goes back to the husband. She's like, I got two guys out here asking for this and dry white toast.
Yeah. Fried chicken and dry white toast.
White toast.
White toast, yeah. Yeah, it's some good songs, you know,
Yeah.
stuff that you're gonna know, even if you don't realize that you know it. So, yeah, Cab Calloway, Minnie the Moocher. I mean, that's
I mean, that's
I mean, Cab Calloway originally recorded that in 1931. So
right, and then to have him perform that at that point in time, yeah.
I'm not sure. It may have been one of Calloway. I mean, Calloway died in 94.
Right.
So, I mean, this is 1980, but yeah, I mean, he was up there in age. So,
yeah. And then if you also want to see Ray Charles aim a gun and come very close to hitting somebody. Sorry, yes, you can tell I've watched this movie numerous times.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. So, well, one of these days I need to give Blues Brothers 2000 a shot. So,
yeah, keep an open mind. It's out of the two of them, the Blues Brothers is my fave. Blues Brothers 2000, they tried their best. Execution wasn't probably as good as it should have been, but there's still a decent story to it.
Yeah,
I think we might have to add the Blues Brothers on the list for a movie review, I think.
Yeah, you know, his hit and miss as far as because he after leaving SNL, he starred in some films. He also co-wrote some. Some were not so successful. Some others were. Obviously, the Blues Brothers was pretty big hit. He is in Trading Places alongside another SNL alum in Eddie Murphy. Which did pretty well. He is in Twilight Zone the movie.
And then later on, Ghostbusters, yep. And then he teamed up with John Candy for The Great Outdoors, which is another good and quotable one.
Yeah.
Especially if those of you who have gone camping up in the Northwoods. You know.
I mean, it's written by John Hughes, so
yes.
You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He was in a brief attempt at reigniting Dragnet.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Alongside
about that
Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was nominated. Yeah, he was nominated for Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for Driving Miss Daisy.
That's right. Yep.
So, which
was he in Sneakers?
Pretty good. Driving Miss Daisy. I still don't think Driving Miss Daisy should have won Best Picture though. So, but that's just me. Of course, Coneheads. They tried to turn into a film franchise. Of course, being Canadian, he's in Canadian Bacon, along with a number of other famous Canadians. Some SNL alum, some not. It's one of Chauncey's favorites. Of course, he's the dad in My Girl.
Yep.
Yes, he was in Sneakers. Tommy Boy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Again, a couple of SNL alumni, David Spade and Chris Farley. Again, off and on, some good, some bad. He did voice Yogi Bear in the CGI live action Yogi Bear movie. I don't think we need to talk about that any further.
I forgot that was a thing.
No, yeah. Yeah. Much less said, the better.
Yeah. So, the Coneheads make a return in a State Farm commercial with Jake from State Farm.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Now that you bring that up, I have seen memories of that one. Yeah,
and he has come back for the Ghostbusters, the newer Ghostbusters movies. Both the Ghostbusters Answer the Call, and then Ghostbusters Afterlife and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. So he continues to make an appearance as Ray Stantz, or at least in most of them. He kind of appears as himself-ish in Answer the Call. So, but he is also one of the executive producers. So, he is in the recording of We Are the World.
Mm-hmm.
So, so he's got his fingers in a number of places. He helped found the House of Blues, the chain of music venues. If you've ever been to a House of Blues, you have Dan Aykroyd partially to thank. At one point, it had like venues all over the world. Or it became one of the largest live music producers in the world. It had 7 venues and 22 amphitheaters just in the US and Canada. And then it was bought by Live Nation, aka Ticketmaster.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2007, he founded Crystal Head Vodka. You know it because the bottles are shaped like skulls.
Mm-hmm.
And the vodka is filtered through diamond crystals. So I've not actually had any Crystal Head vodka, but from what I heard, it's pretty good. My problem is I don't have a good place to put that particular shape of vodka bottle, because it's such a different shape than traditional. So you gotta have a space for it. So, he owns several wineries in Canada, and is also a part owner of the company that distributes Patron tequila in Canada. He's got his fingers in 3 of my favorite beverages. He was briefly engaged to Carrie Fisher.
Yep, I was going to bring that up. Yep,
he proposed to her while they were filming the Blues Brothers movie. But then she dumped him when she got back with Paul Simon. That's okay, because he went on to marry Donna Dixon, who was a model and actress. And they were married for almost 40 years.
Wow.
I mean, technically, they still are legally married. They separated in 2022, but they did not divorce. Why? I do not know. Maybe that's a Canadian thing.
Right.
He still got a home in Ontario, on Loughborough Lake. In 2004, in an interview on NPR, he let it be known that in childhood he was diagnosed with Tourette's.
Wow. He's got that very well under control.
Yeah, he had to do therapy. But it was successfully treated with therapy. And then he is not officially diagnosed or self-diagnosed, but knowing what I know of Dan Aykroyd, I believe him that he is on the autism spectrum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So specifically, he says he has Asperger's. That specifically, I do not know, but I would not be surprised if he was to be properly tested, that he would be somewhere on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So just based what I know of him, so reminds me of some people I know that are autistic. So, he is a reserve commander for the police department in Harahan, Louisiana.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like Eric Estrada being a deputized officer for from some city nearby where he lives.
He's also a reserve deputy on the Hinds County Sheriff's Department in Hinds County, Mississippi.
Cool.
He does a fundraiser concert with blues and gospel singers to help raise money for their reserves.
Nice.
He really loves geology and paleontology, so he really likes rocks, among other things. He has worked alongside Canadian paleontologist Philip J. Curie, including fundraising digs and galas as fundraisers for the construction of the Philip J. Curie Dinosaur Museum in Wembley, Alberta, which recognizes contributions by naming its theater the Aykroyd Family Theater. Yes, he does have dual citizenship. He does have American citizenship. And one of the things that I think is really cool about him, and something that I find fascinating as well, I would not consider myself a spiritualist. He does, but he is very, very into spiritualism, on UFOs, ghosts, paranormal, the paranormal. So he's had a number of his great grandfather was a dentist, but also a mystic, like you were back in the day, who was a regular correspondent with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who was also really big into spiritualism. And his Aykroyd's great grandfather was a member of the Lilydale Society, which is a really little, it's not even a town, it's a hamlet, connected to the town of Pomfret on the east side of the lake next to the village of Castega, which is in southwestern New York State. So it's about an hour southwest of Buffalo. So, but the Lilydale Society is a kind of one of the like centers of spiritualism, and the people that live there all year round is like a couple hundred, but each year like tens of thousands of people will come through here to do classes, workshops, demonstrations, lectures about mediums and paranormal stuff and spiritualism. So it's pretty wild. So the history of that is fascinating. So he is a lifetime member and the official Hollywood consultant for the Mutual UFO Network. He was the host of Sci Factor Chronicles of the Paranormal from 1996 to 2000.
Yep. I can remember watching that on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah, there's a DVD called Dan Aykroyd Unplugged on UFOs. His father published a book called A History of Ghosts, which Dan himself interjects stuff in it. Like he writes like the entry and I think like the epilogue at the end as well, but then he also interjects some stuff throughout the book. I've read it. It's actually quite interesting. So, if you're into that sort of thing, I recommend checking it out. The Committee for Skeptical Inquiry awarded him in absentia, because I guess he couldn't be there, the Snuffed Candle Award for hosting Sci Factor and being a longtime promoter of paranormal claims. So, yeah. He's got quite the acting CV for both film and television. Obviously, lots of appearances on SNL, awards, won and nominated for either acting, writing, and for other random stuff. Like the Snuffed Candle Award for among other things. So that's cool. That is very cool. So he does have a star on the Canadian Walk of Fame.
Nice.
So
I did not know there was such a thing, but now I do.
Neither did I, actually.
Yep. He got an honorary Doctor of Literature degree from Carleton University, that same university he dropped out of.
Nice.
In 1999, he was made a member of the Order of Canada. Yeah. And inducted to Canada's Walk of Fame in 2002. And then he was made a member of the Order of Ontario in 2017 for being one of the world's most popular entertainers, well known for his time on Saturday Night Live and the 1984 classic movie Ghostbusters. So, yeah. And he's still at it. Doing this, that, and the other thing. Hosting shows. I think he's got another... There's another, like, paranormal show.
Oh, shoot. I'm trying to remember which one.
Chauncey and I watched a few episodes of it when we were in Columbus. Because when you're at the hotel, you've got cable. So, that's okay.
There was the Out There TV series. And then, shoot. I'm trying to remember, because I think he, like, led a team of investigators. I could be wrong, though.
The Unbelievable with Dan Aykroyd.
There we go. That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, The Unbelievable with Dan Aykroyd.
Yep.
All right. Well, those are two very eclectic celebrities in their own way.
Yes.
But both very fun.
Yep. Well, and both of them, music, acting. Hey.
I mean, I guess technically Dan Aykroyd does dance. Have you ever seen the Blues Brothers dance?
Yes, he does. That's right. He does bust a move during Soul Man.
Yeah. So, they've both been on SNL.
Yep. So, hey.
Good
on you, Hat. You fix them. They had
one's a native New Yorker, another is a New Yorker by trade.
Yep.
So.
Now we just gotta find out if they ever work with Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. I don't think that would be very hard to do.
Nope. We don't need to go there, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Let me go to the Oracle of Bacon.
Oh, you are going to the Oracle of Bacon? I said we didn't have to. But now
Lady Gaga has a Bacon number of 2.
Wow.
Lady Gaga was in A Star Is Born with friend of the show, Greg Grunberg, who was in Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon.
Bingo. Okay.
Dan Aykroyd has a Bacon number of 1.
Wow.
The film, She's Having a Baby.
Oh, that's right. I have seen this. She's having a baby, and now it's yep. Wow, what two for good picking out of the hat, Rachel.
Yeah. Once I got them loose and freewheeling there, anything can happen. Well, if any of our listeners want to chime in about either of these celebrities, Lady Gaga or Dan Aykroyd, about what you like about them, things that you have enjoyed throughout their careers, you can send us feedback. Our email is FiveishFangirls@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, which is the FiveishFamGirls.com, where you can find ways to connect with all of our various social media accounts, along with information about the book club, which if you've not voted yet, you can go do that or join in the latest discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Which reminds me, I need to figure out what my big finish pick is going to be, because my birthday's next month.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Once you find out, please let us know.
Yes. Like, which 6th Doctor big finish am I going to pick this time?
Mm-hmm. Well, I know which one you're not going to pick for quite some time, so there's that.
Twist my arm.
I can eliminate that one from the list.
Yup. No. There's also ways for you to financially support us if you so wish, either through Ko-fi or merch on Redbubble or regular supporter on Patreon, or if you want to support the non-profit, you can do that via Patreon. Not Patreon, PayPal. Those both start with P, and involve money.
Yes.
Somebody was thinking there, but not me. Goodness gracious. So yeah, all y'all out there, be careful, be safe.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy out there. So, but we're here to bring some levity to, for at least a little bit, we hope. So, alrighty then. Well, unless anyone has anything else, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Amy Bagel saying goodnight.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Illinois Nazis. I hate Illinois Nazis. Me too. I hate all Nazis. Thank you, our Fiveish fam, for joining us on this week's geeky journey. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Stay connected with us on our website, FiveishFamGirls.com, and follow us on most social media with @FiveishFamGirls. Plus, check out our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back, to see how we're making a positive impact in our community. Until next time, stay nerdy and let the squee continue.